My name is Ethan Harper. I still vividly remember the visit to the candy factory my school organized when I was a child. That factory, brimming with the scent of sweetness, mainly dealt with chocolate confections. While all of my classmates were enthusiastically tasting the candies, eyes sparkling with the realization, we eat these all the time, but they are so much better fresh. I remember thinking, could this brown stuff really taste good? Then, presumably a factory worker, an older gentleman approached me.
Aren't you going to eat? It'll melt, you know.
Huh, does this melt?
Well, it's chocolate after all. Wait, have you never eaten chocolate before?
Yeah, it's my first time seeing it. Can something this brown really be delicious? Seeing my dubious face looking at the chocolate, the man blinked in surprise, then smiled slightly.
It's even tastier if you roll it around in your mouth like you're melting an ice cube, without chewing immediately.
To be honest, I was still skeptical, but I threw caution to the wind and tossed the chocolate into my mouth. I let the chocolate roll around my mouth. It was a strange sensation. The chocolate, initially square, started to melt and take on a round shape in my mouth. As it melted, the sweet and slightly bitter chocolate shook my young heart intensely. Amazing, it melted and disappeared. It's really delicious even though it's brown. As I was immersed in the wonderment, the man proudly puffed out his chest and said, "This is the most beloved chocolate product in our company." My family was, in a nutshell, po. We still had regular meals and were able to go to school. However, I also had a younger sister, so our financial situation was always precarious. My mom juggled part-time jobs and household budgeting with grocery store flyers, and my dad worked night shifts, returning home in the morning to sleep, so we could only see each other on his days off. Even when I was small, I understood that we weren't in a position where I could casually say, "I want to eat candy." After graduating from high school, I decided to find a job. My younger sister was still in elementary school, and I wanted to give back to my parents. When I consulted with my dad about this, he said, "Ethan, are you sure? You know what? Some people might look down on you for only having a high school diploma, but I was determined. It wasn't just about doing good things and paying back my parents. I had a secret passion for chocolate since I was a kid. I may not be able to become a chocolatier, but I wanted a job related to chocolate." I was so profoundly moved by that chocolate on the day of the school outing to the chocolate factory, which sparked a dream. I got an interview with the same chocolate company where I visited that day and got hired. In the beginning, I mainly had menial tasks and often felt down due to the unfamiliar tasks, but as I gained 3 years of experience, my responsibilities grew and I even started to handle important tasks like negotiating with clients. That's when it happened. I was called in by the CEO. After knocking on the door, I entered the CEO's office. "Hey there," the CEO greeted me casually, while I was completely intimidated. May I know why you called me today?" I asked nervously. This was my first time meeting the CEO since the job interview. Seeing my anxiety, the CEO burst out laughing, then chuckled heartily.
"You're still as skeptical as ever.
Huh, what do you mean?
You were still an elementary school kid then, so it's understandable if you don't remember. It's me, the one who spoke to you when you visited our factory and tried the chocolate. It's me."
There's no way I could forget. That single piece of chocolate had changed my life, but the memories from my elementary school days were vague. I remembered that a man had talked to me, but I couldn't remember his face. "Wait, you're that old man from that day."
"Well, back then, I was in my late 20s.
The CEO made a wry smile. "Oh my, I apologize, sir. For me, you looked aged back then." "It's all right, no need to apologize," the CEO laughed heartily.
I didn't notice you when I hired you, but one day, Seeing you eating chocolate so delightfully in the break room, I had a feeling of déjà vu. Then when I saw your elementary school on your resume, it rang a bell.
I see. I was deliberately convinced. According to my family, even now, when I eat chocolate, my face apparently completely relaxes.
I just want to confirm if that boy is really you. That's what I asked you to come and see me today. In addition to that, I have a job that I'd really like you to handle.
A few days later, I stood at the foot of a massive building, reflecting on the incredible task I'd been asked to perform. The task given to me was negotiations with a major client famous for their luxury chocolates. Although our company had long-standing, well-loved chocolate products, we were still a small fish compared to this large company. This major client was the famous chocolate company that established a chocolate specialty shop. Their products are not the kind of chocolates sold in general convenience stores or supermarkets. Their authentic chocolate flavors were not only popular in Japan but also well received overseas. However, our company also has its strengths. One was that although we are a small factory, we can handle mass production. The chocolates of the major client were each handmade by artisans. They seemed to have decided to start a new business to sell affordable yet high-quality chocolates. This was why they approached us, a small-town factory capable of mass production. If this deal was closed, it would be profitable for both our company and the client. I was entrusted with this crucial negotiation, which could affect the fate of our company. I have to stay focused. I straightened my tie and entered the towering building.
We've been expecting you.
A man in his 30s, by the name of Johnson, came rushing towards me. Mr. Johnson led me to the conference room and negotiations began immediately. The negotiation went well. It was a crucial negotiation, involving not only the fate of the company but my own life as well. Above all, it was a task assigned to me personally by the CEO. I couldn't make any mistakes.
With this, our project is finally making progress.
Our negotiation was almost over when Mr. Johnson asked me,
By the way, Mr. Harper, you're very competent. Which university did you graduate from?
I stumbled over my words, but I had to say it. Feeling it would be wrong to lie, I honestly said that I only had a high school education. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the room changed.
What? A high school graduate? Your company assigned someone with only a high school education to such an important negotiation.
Mr. Johnson's face turned red with anger.
I'm sorry, but let's go back to the drawing board. We shouldn't have asked a small factory like you in the first place. We'll find another factory.
I panicked. I recalled my dad's words that I might have a chance to be despised as a high school graduate, but until now, that had never happened. I realized how lucky I had been, being in a supportive working environment. No matter how much I bowed and apologized, Mr. Johnson didn't seem to want to listen anymore. Several days had passed since that day. I visited alone that major client's office again. I just couldn't come to terms with the situation. Why is a high school graduate treated disrespectfully like this? Over and over again, I spoke to Mr. Johnson, who was in charge of this project. I begged him, bowed my head. About a month later, it seemed Mr. Johnson had finally given in.
Fine, all right. Then memorize all the features, colors, and shapes of all the products we handle. If you can do that, I'll listen to you.
I thought it was an unreasonable demand, but I also thought I had no choice but to do it. It's a golden opportunity. I frantically memorized everything about the products our major client deals with. I studied harder than I ever had, memorizing the entire manufacturing process and all the materials used. 10 days later, I stood in front of Mr. Johnson, who was so surprised by all that I had learned that he was left aghast, as if he had turned to stone.
Did you really memorize everything?
He asked. Yes, I even learned about your company's history,"
That's enough. No need to go any further.
Mr. Johnson said, holding his head. After a while, he said, "As I promised, I listened to your proposal. I had also learned about the manufacturing process, so I discussed how our company could help reduce their costs while discussing our operations." Mr. Johnson's attitude, which initially seemed begrudging, began to change rapidly. His face was full of surprise. Eventually, Mr. Johnson finally apologized. "I understand now, Mr. Harper. I apologize for my rudeness before. Let's continue our discussions." A few months later, our new product sold so well that it could be called a big hit. This was also thanks to my suggestions. I said, why not consider mail order service as well? To propose mail order service, I had to do a lot of study and negotiations again. But thanks to the television coverage that promoted high-end chocolates delivered to your doorstep, the product flew off the shelves. Today was the unveiling party for our hit product. The dance hall of a hotel was reserved, and the invitees included those involved with the product, clients from other companies, of course Mr. Johnson, and our CEO. And for some reason, I was invited to a party. It's not really my scene. I protested, but the CEO said, "This success wouldn't have been possible without you, please come." I thought it would be rude to decline. Although I felt out of place, I had confidence in the product I worked on, so I was able to be there. Then, a drunken man from a client company, who had nothing to do with this project, pointed at me and staggered towards me, bellowing, "Just a high school grad. He only graduated from high school. Isn't this fancy party a bit too much for a high school grad kid?" he said, mocking me. Mr. Johnson understood, but everyone else. They mocked me just because I only had a high school education. I was understandably pissed off. Then it happened.
Please stop. Don't mock Mr. Harper.
Mr. Johnson intervened between me and the man.
Johnson, I believe a person who only has a high school education is kind of questionable. Don't you think so?
The man was surprised when Mr. Johnson intervened, but he kept mocking me. Johnson gave a wry smile and said, "Well, initially, I too was skeptical about having a high school grad as the project led, and I was looking down on him. So I can't really say anything."
But he is a very hard-working man. He knows our products better than our employees now. He always comes up with innovative ideas.
I didn't realize he respected me so much, and I found myself teary-eyed. Everyone in the hall was looking at us, wondering what was going on. When I looked back, I saw our CEO standing there. President. As I spoke to him, he just smiled gently. He stood in front of the man and began to speak calmly.
I don't think academic background matters. I was charmed by Mr. Harper's personality and entrusted this negotiation to him. He persevered even when he was mocked. The fact that we can host this party is proof that his persistence and hard work paid off, don't you think?
With Mr. Johnson's words earlier, and now this, my heart was filled with a strange warmth. What I've done wasn't in vain. Applause broke out from somewhere, and it spread around me. I was full of joy as if I might die tomorrow. A few days later, I wanted to let my family try our products, so I brought home a big bag of them. As I was talking about the party the day before, I said, "I'm really surrounded by good people, huh?" Then, as my father tasted the new chocolate, he said, "No, it's your hard work. Like your boss said, your persistence and hard work created this delicious thing." I didn't expect my father to say such a thing and was surprised, huh?
The only thing you lack is confidence. You've become capable of creating something this good. Have more confidence.
I was taken aback when he gave my back a big slap. I choked a little, but the dull pain on my back felt oddly warm. My younger sister, who had just become a middle school student, also said, "Brother, this is so delicious." as she enjoyed the new chocolate. Seeing my family's happy faces, I found myself smiling softly.